So picture this, it's 2012. The mirrorless camera revolution is in full swing. Smartphones are catching up when it comes to hobby photography, but nobody's really taking them seriously. And along comes Olympus with this mid-ranger who punches way above its weight. It's the Olympus E-P3, and it's, as I've stated, a mid-ranger camera which actually looks like it's, I don't know, it's a triumph of engineering and retro design. Looking at this, I'm geeking out. I like the soap bar shaped body. I like the all-metal chassis construction. I like the AMOLED screen and the clickiness and tactile feeling of this rather impressive piece of design. Yes, there you go. However, I think it's time to put away our rose-tinted glasses just for a moment and figure out whether this thing is still relevant in 2026 and it offers something more besides the nostalgia factor that oozes and abounds out of this fairly recognizable shape. So then join me as I try to answer these quintessential questions. What this thing is actually good for? Is the Olympus E-P3 relevant in 2026 in terms of photography, or is it just a novelty piece that's meant to be put on the mantle and to be looked at as a conversation starter and a hoarder's wet dream? And more importantly, what these things are worth now and what you should be paying for them. So, the first thing I will start with is, of course, the build quality. I mean, you cannot beat this. In terms of weight, well, it's more of a heft than a weight. It's about 350 or so grams, which is, it feels just about right in the hand. And one thing I would like to start off and mention from the beginning is, well, the ergonomics are top-notch, even if looking at this shape, this oval shape and this rather retro-looking theme, I wouldn't call this camera ergonomic, but there it is. It has the dials and switches right at your fingertips where you would want them. There's a scroll wheel nicely integrated here in the design. Let me just zoom in so you can see this beautiful piece of engineering. I mean, yeah, the speaker holes here are not great. They don't really impress me, or rather they are a letdown. And also I dislike the fact that the button to turn it on is just a digital button and is not a physical dial or something like the mode dial on top. But these are small niggles and things that don't really need to be taken too seriously when looking at a retro gadget. There's this beautiful pop-up action for the flash, which is a delight to use each and every time until you break it, though I suspect this will not happen anytime soon. The screen is not an LCD, but rather an AMOLED, a beautiful AMOLED one, a 3-inch AMOLED screen. Unfortunately, it doesn't swivel or tilt. It is fixed in place, and though it does offer some sort of capacitive touchscreen function, and you can sort of focus with it and move the pictures around. When also the menu is a delight to watch and operate. No silly over-the-top dynamic animations which serve no purpose other than to use up a memory in the processor and, you know, the camera itself. Here we just have the classic understated mid-2000s to mid-2010s design of a menu. I like this hue, this blue hue, and the camera in the background. Well, it just screams understatement and well-engineered, well-thought-out menus. But then again, I'm 40 years old, so I guess I'm attracted to different things in terms of technology than the newer generations. Yeah, and I was getting a bit awkward there, but let's skip on right ahead and try to see what this camera actually can do. So I'm going to take two lenses. The ever versatile and attractive but small and amateur looking Lumix 12-32, a pristine example, and the OG underdog itself, the well above its weight puncher, the Lumix 25mm fixed lens f1.7, the undisputed champion of the Micro Four Thirds budget portrait lenses, if there ever was such a thing. So then, I shall show you some pictures on the screen right now. First, taken with the 12-32mm lens with the f3.5 to 5.7, I believe, and afterwards switch to a couple of shots from the Lumix 25mm f1.7. All these shots taken, of course, with the Olympus E-P3. And, well, you can decide for yourselves whether these shots are relevant in 2026 or not. By the way, these were taken in intelligent auto, and this was intentionally made because I want to stress out another point of this camera. This is actually a letdown, a pretty big disappointment. As you can see, there's a blinking information on the screen here. It's related to the embody image stabilization. Now, these cameras come standard with the 3-axis plastic gearing in IBIS system, which, well, for the early versions, the EP1 to EP3 and the EPL1, EPL2 and EPL3, these all seem to suffer from the same fate. They have bad IBIS. This one goes bad, and it brings the camera performance and subsequent value down. This example has a non-working IBIS. It is for this reason that I only paid 65 euros for this camera. Now, does this really bother me? Well, not so much. Then again, I'm not much of a photographer, so I plan to sell this thing along and hopefully make a small profit in terms of selling this camera. Yeah, and the card is full, just 1 second. Which brings me to my last point. What is the actual value of such a camera? Well, supposedly pristine ones and fully functioning ones start from about 180 to about $400, but the average price, not the asking price, should be around $200 or so. Now, the question that begs itself, should we pay full price for such a camera in 2026? And, well, the answer is really no, in my opinion. I think you can go way better in terms of camera functions and camera performance, even in the Micro Four Thirds ecosystem. And you should only purchase this particular model if you have I don't know, you have an affinity for it and you want the metal finish and the beautiful build quality that really is not quite so accessible. So I would consider a GX7 to be the equivalent from Panasonic of such a camera in terms of material and build quality, though that is quite a bit more expensive than this EP3. In terms of specs, I don't think there's really a contest, but then again, this is not a comparison, a face-to-face with other cameras. So, there you have it. I paid 65 euros for a pristine looking example, but a bit defective Olympus EP3. And I think the value for such a camera, for a good one, should be about 120 to about 150 US dollars. Then again, I buy and hoard weird and quirky obsolete tech stuff like this Olympus E-P3, so you don't have to purchase one for yourself, but rather just take a look at it and enjoy the nostalgia for a moment and just move along to different projects and your personal hobbies. Which reminds me, I have to beg and grovel for a few likes, subscribes and thumbs ups, because this channel really needs your support in order to grow. So all that remains to be said is thanks a lot for watching, and hopefully I shall see you in the next one.